To keep the agenda rolling through, we have a bit of a shift in the sense that one of the congressmen that was going to present later in the afternoon is going to present now. He's a good, dear friend, and he's also a gentleman that I think everyone should get to know in the sense that he manages a tremendous network. Congressman Robert Pittenger, congressman from North Carolina, is the chairman of a task force on counterterrorism and unconventional warfare. This is a task force that I've been privileged to be a part of and to be able to speak at various of their forums. They have intelligence parliamentary forums all throughout the world. I've been privileged to be a part of the one in Buenos Aires, Argentina, another one in Riga, Latvia. And matter of fact, as soon as we're done with the forum today on Sunday, I fly back to Buenos Aires to go to the next forum along with some colleagues from the Department of Defense. Congressman Pittenger is really doing the work of bringing together not just parliamentarians, but individuals from the threat finance community, from the cybersecurity community, from all throughout the world, to get them on the same page in terms of legislation, operational practices, and basically to set the tools so we can fight the bad guys. So with that, I'd like to welcome, if everyone could welcome Congressman Robert Pittenger.
Thank you, Joseph. Terrific to be with you. Extraordinary leader. He has been involved with us for many years now. We began these forums back in 2013, began with the Snowden revelations, and Eric Cantor asked me if I would succeed him in chairing this Congressional Task Force on Terrorism. We had our first meeting in Washington, D.C. I'd asked Mike Rogers, the chair of Intel, I said, why don't we invite the Europeans over? They seem to be so outraged, and let's show them our protections of civil liberties and privacies. And he said, no, you invite them and I'll speak. I said, well, thanks a lot. So we did invite them, and 24 countries came, and about 125 members of parliament. That began a dialogue. And that dialogue has continued, where, as Joseph said, we'll have our 9th forum in Buenos Aires beginning early next week. They have been important. We've expanded our dialogue not just with intelligence data sharing, but also related to cybersecurity efforts and terror finance, and that's the issue that I would like to speak on today. I would like to thank the Center for Secure for Free Society and the Daniel Morgan Graduate School for organizing this, a very strategic and important occasion. And frankly, I do appreciate the opportunity to address you today. Western Hemisphere is the front line in the fight against transnational terrorist organizations and organized crime. As you well know, there have been many news reports that indicate that Iran, Hezbollah, and other illicit financiers are active in Latin America. This is deeply troubling because without American expertise and countermeasures partnering with our trusted allies in Latin America, criminal money laundering capabilities will continue to grow in this region. The tri-border region of Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay, in particular, remains the prime area for money laundering, also related to drug trafficking, as you know, and other cross-border criminal activity. In fact, in the 2016 State Department report on terrorism, they stated that Paraguay continues to play a primary role in this tri-border region, and is attractive for individuals seeking to engage terrorist financing. This is often the under-the-radar issue for many folks, but it is critical that Congress better understand these methods by which the terrorists and criminal organizations operate within the region. As well as chairing our Congressional Task Force on Terrorism, I also, on our Financial Services Committee, I serve as the Vice Chair of Subcommittee on Terror and Illicit Finance. So I am deeply committed to denying and disrupting these nefarious efforts, and I propose and support policy initiatives targeted to that goal. For one example is a piece of legislation that would provide for improved information sharing between law enforcement and our financial system. This is essential to curtailing the ability to pursue criminal financing. Right now, it's limited. A bank can only access data in its own particular banking unit. They can't even share with each other. And they need to have the capacity to be able to share data, working with FinCEN and Treasury to know who are the bad guys out there and who we need to be tracking through the financial system. As was stated by Joseph, I will be traveling to Buenos Aires this week, and we anticipate around 300 members of parliament and other security-related participants to be there from 15 Latin American countries. This will be the second meeting that we will have had in Buenos Aires. Mr. Federici, who heads up the financial intelligence unit there, has organized this as a very key player for us down there, a very good partner. Our focus at this meeting will be on corruption and strengthening financial intelligence units, which are part of the Egmont Group. There's about 150 members in the Egmont Group. FinCEN is our member in the Egmont Group, but it's essential that we have collaborative efforts to be able to work together to track the funding. I would like to mention Emmanuel Ottolenghi. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He'll also speak at this forum in Buenos Aires, and he will detail the Iranian and Hezbollah penetration in Latin America. According to Mr. Ottolenghi, there's a growing cooperation between Islamic terror networks and the violent drug cartels. This is a nexus that has grown over many years. Hezbollah, of course, has been involved for a couple decades down there, but that's what we're seeing more of today. As well, we are worrisome that they're assisted by other political groups. President Maduro of Venezuela has offered a safe harbor to these Hezbollah's trafficking networks. Reports indicate that hundreds of Venezuelan passports have been given to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Hezbollah operatives. In testimony before the Senate, Mr. Ottolenghi stated that Hezbollah is now a major part of the drug and human trafficking, gun running, illicit cigarette trade, trade-based money laundering, and terror financing in Latin America. Terror financing, drug trafficking, and illicit smuggling are no longer clearly separate activities. They are commingled. This cooperation on drug trafficking and money laundering that exists between the socialist, Islamist, and narco-traffickers in Latin America is a serious national security threat. In Washington, we must recognize the threat, help craft foreign policy that identifies Latin America's importance in combating Iran and dedicates the needed resources to fight those who wish to do harm in the region. As you should as well know, I'm committed to this aim and continue to work with many of our partners to impede the flow of illicit finance throughout this region. I do thank each of you for the role that you play, and we all will work together to make sure that U.S. interests are preserved and we can defeat those who seek our harm. Thank you very much. God bless you.